City's Bamberg County School District is now called to order July 11, 2022, 6 p.m. Number 2, approval of the agenda for members at this time.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Can I get a
Second.
It's been a motion made and properly second. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Number 2, you've had a chance to go through your pamphlet and go over the minutes for June 6, 2022 minutes. Can I get a motion for approval of the minutes for June 6, 2022?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for the meeting held on June 6, 2022.
Second.
It's been a motion made and second to approve the minutes for June 6, 2022. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
We're now down to item number 4, school reports. Rhonda Ray, Dr. Simmons, Dr. Chastity Evans, Dr. Denise Miller, and Mr. Jordan Smith at this time, please.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm Vice Chairman of the board. Thank you so much for affording me an opportunity to come this evening. I want to share just a couple of highlights from both Denmark-Ola Middle as well as Denmark-Ola High School. I'll start with Denmark-Ola Middle first. Excuse me. The enrollment as of June 29, 2022 is 151 students. 0 confirmed cases of COVID, both staff and students. Our summer recovery program was from June 6th through June 23rd. During that time, we served a total of 57 middle school students, 28 sixth graders, 15 seventh graders, and 14 eighth graders. 55 of those students successfully completed the requirements for credit recovery, so they will all be promoted to the next grade level. The 2 who did not complete will obviously be retained. And currently going on at Denmark-Ola Middle School is a lot of back-to-school preparations. The custodians are working very diligently to get the building prepared. In fact, in our meeting this morning, they shared with me that they're actually ahead of schedule, so we're really excited about that, and I want to commend them for how hard they have worked. Even during the holiday time, many of them were there getting things done and staying on track, so I'm really excited to and pleased with what they have done. But right now, that's kind of what's going on at Denmark-Ola Middle. Cleaning, getting ready for the start of the new school year. As it relates to Denmark-Ola High School, current enrollment as of June 29th was 186 students. We had 1 new student come in today, so that number will roll up to 187. No COVID cases for both staff and students. The summer credit recovery was also from June 6th to June 23rd. We had a total of 32 students served in that program. As it relates to 9th grade, there were 17 students. 10th grade, 11, and 11th grade, there were 4 students. 27 of the 32 students successfully completed what was required. The 5 students who did not will either be retained or have to take that course again in the fall. And also at Denmark-Ola High School, there's a lot of back-to-school preparations going on, especially as it relates to cleaning the building, changing filters, doing a lot of routine maintenance. Also want to announce we currently have 30 of our students from Denmark-Ola High School who are enrolled in the Upward Bound program at Denmark Technical College. They went to New York this morning, actually, at 12 a.m. They left from Denmark Tech and went to travel to New York. It's my understanding they've made it safely, and they will make their way back gradually throughout the week. And they're going to stop at 4 HBCUs on their way back. They're going to tour Coppin State. They're going to tour Howard University. They're going to tour Norfolk State University and also North Carolina A&T State University. Certainly will answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Excuse me, would you please say the first school that they'll be visiting?
Coppin State University.
Coppin?
Yes, ma'am. C-O-P-P-I-N.
Thank you.
Coppin, yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Simmons.
You're quite welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Tonight, we have 2 principals that are on vacation, so I'm going to fill in for them if you will allow me to do so. And the first is Dr. Rhonda Ray, and she's presented to you a report for Denmark-Ola Elementary School. You can see her current enrollment at RCES is 285, 0 confirmed COVID cases in staff or students. They held a school safety team meeting and emergency management plan meeting on Thursday, June 16th, getting our emergency and safety plans updated and ready to roll for next year. Also, she wanted to highlight that they took an awesome summer school field trip on Tuesday, June 28th to Columbia, where the students were treated to Summer Movie Express, the Despicable Me 2 movie, at the Regal IMAX and RPX Theater, and then they enjoyed some fine dining at the Golden Corral. So the students and the staff really enjoyed that trip. Also, as mentioned, Dr. Chastity Evans, she too is on vacation this week, so I'm going to go ahead and present the Richard Carroll Elementary School report to you. She's highlighting that the end of the year enrollment for RCES was 646 students, and we had zero COVID cases among staff or students. She wanted to highlight that 76 students enrolled in summer camp at RCES in grades 5K through third grade. And as you know, in third grade, students are identified based on the Read to Succeed regulations and the reading levels. And she gave you some information there about the students who had to attend for that and those that were successful. Also, we held the 4K CERDEP summer school program this year, and we had 10 4K students participate in that. Wanted to thank the teachers and the teacher assistants who worked at the summer school programs this year, and I'd like to thank all of the staff who worked at our Denmark-Oler schools and our Bamberg-Elhart schools, because that's a lot. It's a long year, and you're very tired, and then to step up and teach summer school, that's a lot to ask for. But I wanted to thank all the staff, and so did Dr. Evans, for working for those that participated in the summer school programs. Students at Richard Carroll Elementary School also went on to a field trip each week. They visited our public library and watched puppet shows and enjoyed a Spanish storyteller. They had Mr. Poppy visit from the Savannah Ecology Lab and the South Carolina Aquarium in Charleston. Each week at the summer school program had a theme. From the sun to pollinators to bubbles to shells, and she's provided you with lots of pictures and some of the activities the students participated in the summer camps. And RCES and PTO, the School Improvement Council, is in the process of planning a back-to-school bash. This event is scheduled for Thursday, August the 11th, from 4 to 7 p.m. Parents who complete the required back-to-school paperwork packets, their students will be given a rubber arm bracelet, and there'll be a ride. It's kind of like Ride All the Rides bracelets, what we call them, you know, that you get at the fair. Well, they'll be given a bracelet that gives them a free pass to ride or participate in the bouncy house, all the slides, the fire department water station, the face painting, and all the food trucks. So we encourage parents to come out and join in for the fun, complete the paperwork so the students and kids can enjoy that. Some little back-to-school fellowship going on. Any questions? I'm sure Dr. Ray and Dr. Evans will be glad to answer them, or I'll try. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Miller.
Ms. Miller?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm here on behalf of the middle school. I bring you greetings, and we are steadily getting prepared for the start of the school year. To my knowledge, we have had 0 cases of COVID for our students and our staff. Our custodians, I have to give them a lot of credit, Mr. Donnell Brown, Mr. Jeremiah McCaskill, and Mr. Jeffrey Sally. They are hard at work. Our floors are so shiny, you can see their faces in them. They are rearranging classrooms, moving furniture, and just really working hard. So I commend their efforts. Our summer academic recovery program successfully concluded on the 30th of June. And we begun our summer bridge program today. And our summer bridge program, we have 3 groups of students that can choose to come. The 3 weeks I have listed, and it's to assist them in their transition from Richard Carroll Elementary School to Bamberg-Elhart Middle School. And last, on behalf of my staff, I would like to thank Dr. Brown and all of you for allowing our district to close last week, and so that we can get some rest, and now we're ready to put our shoulder to the wheel.
Thank you. now we have Mr. Jordan.
I'm glad there's not a microphone up here, because usually I have to. Madam Vice Chair, esteemed board, Dr. Brown, all else in attendance, good evening. I am proud, humbled, and thankful to stand before you as the principal of Bamberg High School. Current enrollment is 355, COVID cases 0 at this time. Our summer program and credit recovery, it was from June the 6th through June 30th. Hours were 8 a.m. to 12:30. And we had 23 students enrolled, 20 were able to receive credit from that program. At this time, we are applying a fresh new coat of paint in the high school, so if you come in, please be careful. Any questions or concerns?
Welcome aboard, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
We're now down to item number 5, athletic reports. Mr. Littlejohn and Mr. Williams.
Good evening, everyone. We have no COVID cases in our athletic program at this moment. As you know, July is pretty relaxed for our athletics. We got 2 dead periods. We just went through one where there's no athletics of any kind for the high school league. That was June the 3rd through the 9th. And also we have another one coming up July the 24th through the 28th. On the 29th, that's our first day of football practice, and that will start at 7:30 a.m. Also, for following schedules, we have basketball. They'll be going Tuesday and Thursdays from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Girls basketball, they'll go Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Our cheerleading workouts will be July 18th to the 21st, and the 30th, they'll go in the afternoon at 5:30 to 7:30 in the afternoon. And volleyball also go July 12th and the 18th and the 21st at 2 p.m. Upcoming schedule for our events for our football, we have July 21st to 7:07 at Edisto. That will start at 8:30 in the morning to last 10. And July 22nd, we're having a youth camp for our community, for our youth athletes from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And also our July volleyball, in July, our volleyball team will be going to a team camp at Claflin University, the 16th to 17th. Any questions?
Question?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Littlejohn.
Good evening, how's everyone doing? First, I want to thank our coaches and athletes from Bamberg for finishing second in the state this past season in Carlisle Cup, which is the high school league ranks you according to how many teams make the playoffs, how far they go in the playoffs and everything, and our athletic department finished second, so very proud of them. Also, we have about 100 kids working out every day, Monday through Thursday, from football, volleyball, basketball. So we have about 100 kids on campus every day, either practicing or lifting weights. Our volleyball team's going to Walford Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The basketball teams have been playing in the summer shootouts. Boys went to Rock Hill and came over to Denmark to play. Girls went to Collin County. Wrestling, we hosted a wrestling camp, a little kids camp, the week before the 4th, and I think we had between 15 and 20 kids trying to get some interest back in that program. Any questions?
Thank you, sir, Mr. Williams. We're now down to item number 6, Dr. Brown's student staff recognition and superintendent's report.
Good evening again. I would like to thank all the administrators for coming out tonight and giving the reports, and also Coach Littlejohn and Coach Williams. I just think it's so funny to hear Coach Littlejohn say a dead week in sports. I swear, there's no such thing. Always something going on. At this time, I would like to recognize tonight all of our district and school level new hires at the administration level. So I've asked these individuals to appear tonight because you all get to hear their recommendations and things like that, but this is a good chance for us to be able to put names with faces, so you all know who's in our key leadership roles in our district and at our schools. So to those in attendance, when I call your name, if you would just please stand. And if you have your family with you, let the family stand too. Okay. So first I'll start with at the district office. I'd like to introduce Mr. Dennis Ulmer as our assistant superintendent. Next, I'd like to introduce, I say introduce, but she's not so new in the room, but she's back with us, and we're glad. Mrs. Denise Robinson Crosby is our district truancy officer. And next, another one that's rejoining the family in a different capacity, Mrs. Millage Stabilization, our Title I coordinator. And new to our family, and we're so glad he's joining us, is Mr. Jabari Washington, will be our district social worker. Moving on to the high school, and you've already met this young man. He's been before you several times in Mr. Ulmer's absence, but moving up the ladder is Mr. Jordan Smith, is our new Bamberg High School principal. New to our family is Mrs. Patricia Goldsmith, who will be Jim Marcola Middle School principal. And last but certainly not least, Mrs. April Morgan will be our assistant principal at Richard Carroll Elementary School. Just want to say congratulations to all these individuals and to welcome them to the family. And welcome back. And lastly, several weeks ago, the board asked me to bring forth some information about our school in light of events that's happening around our country and even in our own county. You raised some questions about safety and safety in our schools and safety in our district. And I'll start off by saying, we're taking every effort, every precaution we can in making our district facilities and buildings safer and our schools safer, our outside of our facilities safer, and even our activities, our extracurricular activities, our athletic events. You have seen over the past year beefed up security, and Mr. Padgett's been working diligently to improve and replace camera systems, audio systems, security systems in every building. So tonight, I've asked our district safety coordinator, safety director, Mrs. Phyllis Overstreet, to present to you a small presentation about our overall district safety plans and our goals for ensuring the safety of our faculty, staff, and students. Okay? And at this point, that brings me to us to item number 7, so I'll turn it over to her.
So only give you a quick format. For your first test. Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. And know everybody. Ms. Blossom, I know you. Long time ago. But I am happy to be here tonight and just talk a little bit about things we've been doing with safety and emergency operation plans. If you want to go into quick. So state requirements, there are some state requirements. We have to have an approved board policy related to fire and safety practices. It has to have language regarding your fire drills, active incident, severe weather, earthquake. Both districts, we just got that model policy last year in June from school boards, and actually both districts approved it. I think Bamberg 1 approved it in June. I think Bamberg 2 maybe approved it in August. It is in section E, support services, so I don't believe the committee that's working on updating your policies has gotten that section yet, but you should see it again, and it will look very much the same as the one that's in the existing board policies now. The state is aware, obviously, that we're consolidating, And there are a couple of things that I have to send up to them, and they have said certainly wait until the board gets to that new policy so we can submit it up there. You know, it's nice to have that model policy from the State Department. It does require monthly fire drills, with a fire drill within the first 10 days of school starting. You should have 2 severe weather, 1 each semester. I think a lot of the schools try to time those so that in the fall they do it as part of the state tornado drill, and in the spring they do it as part of the Great Shakeout, the earthquake drill. And you are supposed to have 2 active incident, active shooter drills, at least one in the fall and at least one in the spring. So those are the minimum requirements. We certainly would like to see schools do more than the minimum, but it's also difficult to make all that work, we understand, because, you know, they're supposed to be about instruction. But I think all of our principals are aware of the requirements, and they make sure that all of those drills and things happen when they're supposed to happen. We must have district and school emergency operation plans, and the state asks that those follow the model plans from the Federal Readiness and Emergency Management for Schools system. They have a great setup. They have a template. You can type into the template, click save. It almost does the work for you. It really doesn't, but I try to tell the principals that it does. And it gives you just a lot of tips and a lot of help with doing your needs assessment and understanding what you need to do with your schools and the things you should address. So every school has been working on their plans. A couple of schools have actually finished them and sent them to me. Which plans are never really finished, that's what I tell them. I'm like, the plan is only part 1. Once you have that plan on paper, then you have to start talking to your staff about how that plan actually works. What happens when it's actually operational? Who's responsible for what? So they are working on that, and everybody has had good questions. They have been using the template, and I think they found it very helpful. We have to do a model state schools checklist every year. That must be submitted to the State Department by September 1st, or else they'll hold up our state money, and Ms. Furr will yell at me, and we try to avoid all those things. And almost everything on the model state schools checklist ties back to the things that are in the emergency operation plan or the things that are in your policies. So those are all things that we're doing readily all the time anyway. We are on track with required trainings. The state requires that we have at least 2 active shooter, active incident trainings a year. 1 must be face-to-face. SLED comes and does that. We had our training in Bamberg last fall. We had our training in Denmark just at the end of the school year when we had those PD days. What we're hoping to do is get Bamberg's again in August during the PD week, and then hopefully get Denmark's in January and not wait to the end of the year. One of the things, you know, we just had some issues with scheduling this past year. We also, you know, it's a very small department at SLED. It's only a couple of guys who do it, and all the districts are asking them to come. But they do work very hard to try to get everybody in. And so we rely on them for that training, and it's all free. They share a lot of resources with us, and, you know, it's their goal to make sure that everybody gets good information as well. We are supposed to have a district and school level behavioral threat assessment, teams and procedures, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the presentation. And then we are supposed to conduct regular fire inspections and partner with our local fire officials. This has kind of been on hold because of COVID, but we are going to have to kind of ramp that up a little bit this year. It's a checklist from the state, and it's all stuff that I think pretty much everyone in all the schools are checking on anyway. But what's great about the checklist is that it gives you that documentation that you went and eyeballed all those important things, you know, at a set time every month. And then if there's an issue or a repair that needs to be done, you at least can say, instead of saying, I don't know how long it's been like that, you can say, well, when we inspected it last month on this day, it was working fine. So we have already talked to Paul Eubanks, who's the county fire coordinator, about that, and that's another thing I'll be talking to the principals about in the next few weeks as they get on track and get going. So next, Mr. Palmer. So for the district, we have always said in Bamberg, we said we review the plans by August 15th of each year. And now that stands for the consolidated district. What that does is allow the schools to look at their plans in the summertime when they know they're going to see some staff changes, their student population changes, maybe even parent population changes, because all the things you have to keep in mind are, do you have staff with mobility issues? Do you have students with handicaps or mobility issues? Do you have parents who maybe have language barriers or other, hearing problems or whatever, and you want to be aware of all those things so you can be sure that you are communicating all that information properly to everybody, and that you're addressing how those particular needs might need to be met if you had to evacuate the building or have a drill or anything like that. So we utilize the incident command system. This is from FEMA. There's a online training. It's a certification. All the principals took it last year. It actually doesn't expire. Excuse me. But I'm going to ask everybody to take it again this year just as a good refresher, and also make sure that our new principals have taken it as well. It's just basically a framework for how you operate if you're in the midst of an emergency. In other words, if you just had something that was specific to your school, let's say a water main break or something like that, then obviously the principal would be the incident commander. If you had a situation that was a little bit bigger than that, the principal would be the incident commander until the superintendent showed up on site. If you had an incident bigger than that, where maybe fire or police had to come in, then obviously the principal or the superintendent cedes that incident commander role to whoever the lead fire or police official is. So it's really just more of how you conduct your operations if you have a situation going on. And then we want to convene our partner agencies. That would be our sheriff, our police departments in Bamberg and Denmark, county fire, county emergency response. Some of this has kind of been on the back burner, for the last couple of years because of COVID. And I think it's critical this year to bring all those people back together. One, because we haven't been together for about a year and a half. And two, with the consolidated district and all the new administrators and other folks kind of moving around, we want to make sure that everybody just knows everybody. We have a new sheriff in town. It's just good for everybody to have that opportunity to sit at the table and talk, and everybody to, be on the same page with things that are going on. And you also want to conduct regular trainings to make sure your staff know how the plans work, what their role is in any given situation. Because if you're not talking about your plan, if you're not practicing, if you're not conducting drills, people don't know what to do or where to be, then your plan is useless. Also, I think everybody has the Raptor. This isn't a new presentation. I didn't remember it for the last minute. But all the schools have the Raptor visitor management system, and that's something else we want to reinforce, is making sure that everyone is using that system, using it properly, paying attention to the people that are in your building. Anytime where a lot of your deterrent is right up front. So people understand that it's not that easy to get in your building. Or if they get in your building and you're paying attention to who they are and where they are in your building and how long they plan to be in your building, you're letting folks know that you're paying attention to what's going on. You're not just letting people come in and wander around or whatever. And I know it's very difficult. We're a small community, we're community schools, we want parents and other folks to feel welcome in our schools, but I think that our parents and our community would also want us to be paying attention to just basic safety practices like that. So we know who's in the building, how long they've been there. We try to emphasize with the staff, if you see someone and they're not wearing a visitor badge, can I help you? Where are you supposed to be? Can I take you back to the front office? That kind of thing. Next. So the emergency operations plans basically have two parts. The first section, and I did not provide you with copies of those best practices, that we do not make those public for obvious reasons. We don't want that to get out, is how we do things or what we plan and what we're looking at. But your basic plan is just who, what, where, when, and how. Who's gonna do what? What happens if this happens? Who goes where if this happens? How does reunification happen? What's the reunification site? Who's responsible for what? And you literally go through and list everybody at either the district or the school. So at the school, they're gonna list the principal, they're gonna list teachers, they're gonna list secretaries, they're gonna list guidance counselors, food service staff, custodians, aides. Everybody has a role to play if there's an emergency or a situation going on. And everyone should know what their role to play is and where they're supposed to be if something is occurring. And then the functional annexes, and this is something everybody struggles with a little bit, but I think once they get the hang of it, they go, oh, okay, that makes sense. And so what you do is, as you do your needs assessment, you determine what your threats and your hazards are for your particular building. Because what's a threat or a hazard maybe for Bamberg High School might not be the same as for the middle school or even Richard Carroll over here in Denmark. So not every school may have the same, all the same functional annexes. There are some basic ones, obviously, you know, fire and active incident, things like that. But they're, based on your needs assessment, you might have, one school might have some hazards that other schools don't face. For example, Richard Carroll is right there on 301. So if Richard Carroll had, you know, a tanker truck turn over right there at the entrance at 1:20 in the afternoon, blocking, you know, the entrance and way to get in and out to get kids, that would certainly be an emergency in this community. And, you know, you need to know how you're gonna have an alternate way for parents to come in and get the kids and get them out. But that's not a hazard necessarily that the middle school would have to worry about. So that's the basic part of your emergency operation plans. 4 minutes, Danny? Thank you, Mr. So the behavioral threat assessment, this is kind of new from the state. This has just been around for a couple of years. It is a state mandated process. They have provided us with a manual that we use as our manual. We chose to adopt the state manual as ours. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. The idea behind it is that you, either at the district level or at the school level, are paying attention to those issues in your buildings. Students that are exhibiting, you know, behaviors that are of concern, or even adults who are exhibiting behaviors of concern. The big thing about behavioral threat assessment is you want to make a determination between someone who's making a threat as opposed to someone who's posing a threat. If they're just making a threat, you know, you deal with that, you know, through the discipline system and, you know, guidance or whatever. If someone is actually posing a threat, then there's a whole other process that you go through to deal with that. And all the principals from 21-22 went through behavioral threat assessment training. You know, we have new principals coming on, and the state offers that training pretty regularly, so we'll make sure that our new principals also have that behavior threat assessment training, that everybody's plans are up to date, that, because each school is supposed to have a team. We, you know, have some changes with guidance counselors and other things like that, so we want to make sure that everybody's teams are up to date, that everybody is looking at this the way they're supposed to. And the whole point of it is for everyone to be safe, and for students who are, or adults who are exhibiting issues or having trouble, that they're getting the help they need to help resolve their problems as well. So that's kind of where we're at with that. And then what questions do you have? Yes, Mr. John?
I know you have the emergency operation plan at the school level. How does that involve our local law enforcement, whether it's sheriff's department or police?
Usually the SROs, which I know we don't have SROs in Denmark, and that's something that we're working on. You know, I know we're working on security or some other issue there, some other way to have that. But I know in the Bamberg schools, the SROs serve on the safety teams at the schools. And then the whole point of bringing the county folks in together is to make sure we're having that good communication and coordination with them in case there was a major incident and, you know, we had to know what was going on. and we had.
Do you know if they have some type of plan, though, on how to react in these situations? We've seen it locally, in recent events, that there's been a breakdown in the, how law enforcement reacted in certain situations, and of course that,
I don't want to speak for them.
Right.
I feel like, we've always been very comfortable, at least in Bamberg, with the response that we've gotten with different issues that we've had. I feel like that's also kind of been the case in Denmark. But that's why it's critical to bring these folks to the table and talk.
Right.
And make sure everybody is sort of clear on what their role is and who should do what. But I'm also going to say that, and this applies to anybody in this room, if you have an emergency or something going on, there's going to be a period of time where you're on your own. And so the whole point of these plans and the whole point of thinking and talking about this and practicing drills and whatever is what are you going to do during that time when you're on your own?
and do we have locking mechanisms on our in our individual classes? Okay.
Yeah. And I know some folks have asked about like secondary devices, like door blockers or whatever. Our assistant state fire chief, Nathan Ellis, who works with us, all the district safety directors, has said there's only a couple of those devices that actually meet code. And he's also pointed out that, no active shooter has ever gotten into a locked classroom. So in other words, he doesn't really recommend those. So we are back to folks keeping their classrooms locked when they're in their classroom.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, Mary.
So many of the mass shooters recently have exhibited very obvious signs that they had involvement. So I was wondering in behavioral threat assessment if the teachers are also
Is
involved. in that?
anybody, the whole point of that is that is a message that gets out to everyone in the school. So if you're a custodian and you're like, there's something going on with that kid, then you have a duty to report, and it's not a matter of getting anyone in trouble or whatever, it's a matter of making sure that you are serving that student the way you're supposed to serve them.
Well, I know
So,
when I was teaching, there were times when I was concerned about a student that, showed very definite problems. And so I hope they are recommended to the guidance counselors.
They are.
There's-
Teachers are highly involved.
Yeah.
They've
Teachers
been
are.
very receptive and responsive to this new procedure and new
You have,
requirement.
your team is made up of teachers, support staff, your SRO in your school, your principal.
School nurse.
Your school nurse, absolutely. Anyone who they observe something, if they feel like there's an issue, then they are certainly empowered to bring that information forward. With the intent to make sure that everybody stays safe. That's that student or that staff member and everyone else.
Any other questions?
Y'all feel free to call me or email me if there's anything else I'd like to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you. We are now down to item number 8, SCAGO bond resolution. Mr. Vaughn.
Tonight, Ms. Rainey Hauser is here from Mayor Law Firm,
Okay.
Mayor Burr Law Firm, and she's going to present.
Board members, please.
Thank y'all, Madam Chair, members of the board, thank y'all for letting us be with y'all tonight. The us is, I have Asada Herbert Williams with us. Some of y'all met her last August. She started working with us in August, and so we're just about to finish our first year of having Asada on the team. We're delighted that she's with us, and glad that she could be here tonight. So this is a little bit historic. This is the first time that Bamberg County School District will borrow money. We are privileged to work with y'all. We work with both of the original school districts, and I very much appreciate the opportunity to continue to work with y'all. This resolution is to authorize not to exceed $750,000 of general obligation debt. It is planned to be sold through the SCAGO program. SCAGO is that statewide nonprofit that pools individual debt issued by school districts and sells it to the public marketplace. We have found over the years that participating in SCAGO, particularly for a relatively small size, not that $750,000 is a small amount, but some school districts in the program will be issuing $13 million. And the nice thing about the SCAGO program is that y'all will get the same interest rate and the same benefits as the school district issuing much larger piece of debt. Bob Dameron has been the financial advisor for both districts. I think he has met with y'all. This debt will be issued to fit within the millage limitation that y'all have identified with Bob. And the funds will be available in late August, early September, and will be available for your any 8% projects that y'all have identified. This is part of a program, what we call Millage Stabilization. So when y'all have decided what the millage needs to be or what you want it to be for your general obligation debt, then every year we would recommend that you issue the appropriate amount of debt to keep that millage and keep that millage level. I'd be glad to answer any questions y'all might have.
Questions? At this time,
Is this something we do every year?
Yes, ma'am.
Here.
It is correct. Both districts have issued debt through this program on an annual basis to be able to have funds for your annual maintenance or annual 8% and to keep that millage level at the policy that y'all have decided, the level y'all decided.
at this time, I need a motion to accept the resolution.
Madam Vice Chairman, I move that we approve the SCAGO bond resolution.
Motion made, can I have a second? Any discussion?
I am sorry. I really am brand new and I don't exactly, I'm sorry to say, ma'am, I don't really understand how this works. Could you say it in a very low level, grade kindergarten way?
And I will keep explaining it till you're comfortable.
I appreciate it.
So, school districts have the ability to issue debt up to an amount not to exceed 8% of all of the taxable value, all the taxable property in the district. Y'all are now countywide, so 8% of all the taxable property in Bamberg County is what we would call your constitutional debt limit. That's like a credit, your credit limit. If a school district needs to borrow more than that 8%, then you would have to go to the voters for a referendum. And I participated both with the Bamberg district and the Denmark district in successful referenda some years ago. But today we're focused on your 8% debt limit. The many school districts issue debt every year for two purposes. One primary purpose is to have the money you need for your capital projects. Way back, it seems like ancient history now, when Act 388, you've probably heard about Act 388. Act 388 did a lot of things, and some of them were beneficial and some probably not beneficial. But Act 388 put a limit on the amount of general fund millage that could be raised by a school district. Y'all also, I think, locally had some debt limit, some millage limitations. But in Act 388, there was no limit put on your debt service millage. So beginning in 2007, that was the year after Act 388, school districts all over the state, big ones, small ones, rich ones, not so rich ones, they started to move capital funding, capital projects out of their general fund over to debt. Because the general fund had a limit on millage, your debt service has no limit. So limit for general fund, no limit for debt service. And so over those years, school districts, as I say, around the state have issued debt, and some in the range of $750,000. And I think one year, one of the districts here might even been $150,000. Because the second purpose that you issue the debt is to keep your millage level. We call it millage stabilization. If you don't have enough debt on the books to be paid in a given year, the debt service millage might go down. And then the next year go up and down, that kind of yo-yo effect, which isn't helpful to anybody. It messes up, people don't realize when it goes down. When it goes up, they complain because they think you're raising millage. It impacts the people paying in with mortgage escrows, because one year they'll be over, the next year they'll be under. So the districts we work with, and the districts your financial advisor works with, and Bob Dameron of Compass Municipal Advisors is your financial advisor, they work every summer with your local auditors and treasurers to see exactly how much debt you should issue so that the millage is exactly the number you want. So for this year here, we are estimating that not to exceed $750,000. It may be less than that when we finally issue it. It won't be more than that because that's the cap in this resolution. So that's the annual debt issuance process. The other feature of this resolution is that it authorizes you to issue debt through the SCAGO GEO debt program. SCAGO is a nonprofit that was formed by school leaders, CFOs, and superintendents back in 2002. This is actually the 20th year for SCAGO. Kind of hard to believe. It's sort of like one of my babies, so it'd be going off to college now if it was a real one. What SCAGO does is it allows school districts such as Bamberg to issue your own debt. So you issue debt. SCAGO bundles up the debt from a number of different school districts and offers it for sale to the public marketplace. So much bigger, yes, a much bigger amount. So instead of y'all doing a $750,000 bond issue with a local bank, where you're going to have a much higher, at least a higher interest rate and a probably more cost, when y'all join the SCAGO program, the amount that will be sold will be over $100 million. And y'all are a small part of that, but the good thing for small districts is that you will get the same interest rate, and you will get only a pro rata share of the ratings fees. And so over the years, SCAGO has saved big districts and little districts millions of dollars because we're able to have that economy of scale and pass that on to the individual school districts. SCAGO also has a TAN program. TAN is a tax anticipation note, which y'all do not need. Your fund balance is big enough so you don't have any cash flow problem, and hopefully you won't need a TAN in the future. But if you did, SCAGO offers a similar program for TAN. Yes, ma'am, is that good?
It seems like this is something we need to do.
And if you have any questions, it is safe.
When he was talking to us, didn't he show how we were somehow paying off some of our debt?
Y'all have paid off some debt through funds made available at the consolidation. And I don't think that either district currently has 8% outstanding. Does it?
No.
No.
We issue this every year, we pay it off every year.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
the
all
other,
8%.
that's the other feature of the SCAGO program. You issue in the fall, March 1, you pay it off, which gives you the shortest possible time for the debt to be outstanding and therefore the lowest interest cost. And so it's just an annual, we come back every year, y'all do a resolution, we sell, pay it off in March, and we just do it over and over again.
Great, so next year I should just be able to say hello and thank you.
Yes, ma'am. If you have any questions, Yvonne knows how to get in touch with us, and we'll be glad to get back with you. No problem. Glad you asked the question.
Thank you, Ms. Rankin. We've had a motion and a second and discussion. Is there any further discussion? If not, this time we will take a vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Ayes have it, it's so carried. We're now down to item number 9, visitors and comments. We don't have any visitors listed. Are there any comments? At this time, I ask for a motion to go into, leave open session and go into executive session.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
make a motion that we move the open session and go into executive session for employment personnel recommendations behind, personnel recommendations for resignation, discussion of release of students.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Second, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
We are now in executive session. Thank you, everybody.
executive session and return to open session.
Second.
And properly second, all in favor, leaving open session, leaving executive session, return to open session, signify by aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, no carry. We're down to item number 11, action for executive sessions.
Madam Vice Chairman, I move that we approve student transfer requests for students B1 through B12.
Second.
And properly second, all in favor of accepting the executive, accepting the recommendations from receiving release of students B1 through 12, all signify by aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so is there anything else, Dr. Brown? Board members, if nothing else, at this time, we call this meeting adjourned at 7:13 p.m.
Do we need to make a motion to adjourn?
Yes,
I
sorry.
move to adjourn the meeting.
Second. Thank you, John.
There you go.
All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
This meeting is now adjourned. We ready.